Hi there, and welcome to the Somewhere Between Here and Healing podcast. I'm Viv, your host and fellow traveler on this journey of navigating life after growing up with a narcissistic parent. Together, we'll explore the messy, the funny, and the downright unbelievable stories of family, life, and self discovery. Please let it be known I am not a therapist nor claim to be an expert in any way. I am simply someone who's been through it, still figuring things out, and I'm here to share my story with you. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and let's get this thing started. Hey, everyone, welcome back. Good morning, afternoon, or good evening to you, depending on where you are and when you are listening. I'm so glad you're here today because I've got a topic that's on a lot of people's minds, but isn't always the easiest to talk about. Today's episode is about therapy, the journey, the hesitation, the breakthrough moments, and all those awkward sessions. I know I have mentioned a handful of times so far that I am currently going through and in therapy, so I thought it might be a good time to dive a little deeper into that. Let's talk about why so many of us hesitate before taking that leap, why I waited so long myself, and why therapy is so darn helpful, even when it can be terrifying. Let's be real for a minute. Deciding to go to therapy isn't like picking a movie on Netflix. There's no casual, ooh, let me just check this one out moment. Oh no, this is a bigger decision, something that you've been putting off forever. It's like low key deciding to clean your closet. You know it's got to be done. You know it'll feel great after, but it just seems like a lot of effort in the moment. That was metaphorically a therapy for me. I knew I needed it, but I kept thinking, do I really want to face all that stuff right now? And why is that, right? Why do we hesitate? Why do we wait for that magical moment where everything suddenly clicks and we're just ready to heal? For me, well, there were many reasons, but first and foremost, I was afraid. Afraid of what I might have to unpack, afraid of what I might find out about myself. And let's be honest, none of us want to discover we're carrying around old emotional baggage. It feels like walking into a room where I didn't know what was inside, but I knew it could be heavy. I knew it could be dark. I spent years dancing around the idea of therapy, circling it, questioning it, pushing it away. And honestly, I had every excuse in the book. First, the stigma, right? Therapy still carries this weight, this unspoken judgment. It shouldn't, but it does. Like admitting you need help means you somehow failed at handling life on your own. And I'm someone who grew up in an environment where you don't talk about feelings. You don't talk about those things in that way. You deal with them privately, quietly, confidently. Therapy wasn't for people like me, like us. It was for people who had real, quote, real problems, right? So let's talk about some of the biggest misconceptions about therapy because, wow, there are a lot of them. I used to believe some of these myself before I actually started, and I know I'm not alone. One of the biggest myths in therapy is that it's only for people who are completely falling apart. Like you have to be at rock bottom, crying in the shower, eating ice cream straight out of the carton at 2 a.m. or worse to justify going. But that's not true. Therapy isn't just for crisis moments, it's for growth, self awareness, and honestly, just untangling the mess of thoughts that we all carry around. You don't have to be in the middle of a breakdown or wait to be in the middle of a breakdown to have that support. Then there's the idea that therapy is just sitting on a couch while someone nods at you and asks, and how does that make you feel? Where in your body do you feel that? Okay, sure. Therapists do ask about feelings and where you're feeling them, but it isn't this cliche scripted thing. A good therapist isn't there just to listen. They help you challenge your own thoughts, recognize patterns, and help you build actual tools to handle your life better. Sometimes They can call you out in the best way possible. And oftentimes, they are there sitting with you in your hardest moments. So sometimes, yes, they ask you how something makes you feel, but not to check a box. They do it to help you understand why you feel that way and how you can move forward. Another huge misconception: therapy fixes you. It doesn't. Not in that way. But guess what? You aren't broken. Therapy isn't some quick fix or a one time epiphany that magically solves all your problems. It's a process. It's giving you the tools to move forward. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes it makes things feel worse before they get better, and that's okay. Then there's money. What if I can't afford it? What if I get attached to a therapist, start unpacking all of this stuff, and have to stop because it was getting too expensive? Would it leave me feeling worse than before? Like opening a wound and then walking away before it healed? There is this little voice in my head constantly: doubt. Oh, doubt. Do I really need this? Maybe I was just overthinking. Maybe I had blown things out of proportion. My childhood, my past, the things that haunt me, were they really that bad? What if I walked in there and the therapist took one look at me and thought, "You don't need therapy. There are people out there who have been through so much worse. Go home." And on the flip side of all of that, there's this question: what if it doesn't help? What if we are too broken? What if we pour our heart out, relive pain, dissect the past, and nothing changes? Can therapy make us feel worse? So for me, I waited. I hesitated. I told myself I was fine until I wasn't. The thing that finally got me through the door wasn't some big revelation or rock bottom moment. It was just exhaustion. I was tired of carrying everything alone, tired of questioning whether I deserved help, tired of waiting for some invisible permission slip to take care of my mind the way I would take care of my body. So I went. I did it. And you know what? The first session with my current therapist wasn't some magical fix. It didn't erase years of self doubt or rewire my brain overnight, but it was a step. And sometimes that's all you need to do: take the step. Because the truth is, you don't have to be falling apart to deserve help. You don't have to measure your pain against anyone else's. You don't have to justify needing support in any way. You just have to want something better for yourself. And that is reason enough. It's funny, isn't it? We're totally okay with going to the doctor when we've got a cold or an injury. But the idea of seeing a therapist to fix our minds, well, that feels like a whole other ballgame. But really, the mind needs just as much care and attention as our bodies, sometimes even more. Once I got over that first hurdle, I realized I wasn't running towards the unknown. I was running towards myself. And that was a good thing. But wow, it did take me a while to get there. After thinking on it for what felt like a decade, I'm not going to lie, I still wasn't sure what I was getting myself into. My first sessions, awkward, like beyond first date awkward, when you're both sitting there wondering if you should talk about the weather or just dive right into your deepest feelings. It was a mix of nervous laughter and trying to find the words to describe everything swirling in my head. And then there were silences, awkward silences. Oh, it was real. But here's the thing: it's okay. It's okay to feel awkward, nervous, and unsure. Therapy isn't about having all the answers, it's about unpacking all the years of confusion, pain, or even joy that's gotten mixed all up inside of us. And I'll be honest, having someone who's not your parent, friend, or partner listen to you without judgment is everything. I didn't realize how freeing it could feel just to say the things out loud, even if I didn't fully understand what I was saying. Now, it's not the therapist's job to fix you. They're there to help you figure out what's going inside and give you the tools to move forward. Kind of think of them like your personal emotional GPS system. And I know therapy can sound and feel intimidating. You think, I've got it all together. Why do I need this? I'm fine. But let me tell you, there's always something that we can work on, something we can improve on, and there's always something worth exploring. Therapy gives you the tools to do just that. It's like building your own emotional toolbox. And trust me, in life, you'll need that. So, what happens when therapy doesn't align? Because it doesn't always. Now, here's where things can get a little trickier. Not every therapist is going to be your perfect match. And that can be extremely frustrating, especially when you finally muster up the courage to start therapy, only to sit across from someone who just doesn't get it, doesn't get you. I had a couple of sessions with therapists before I found the one who truly clicked. And I'm not going to lie, it felt a little like online dating, another dating reference, sure. Maybe when you're swiping through profiles on a dating app and you see someone who checks all the boxes. But when you finally meet, the conversation is forced, dry, incredibly awkward, more awkward than it should be. Yeah, therapy can feel like that sometimes. And in the beginning, when that was happening, I questioned myself more than the therapist. Maybe I wasn't opening up enough. Maybe I was expecting too much. Maybe I was the problem. But the truth is, therapy is a deeply personal relationship. It isn't just about someone giving you common advice, it's about feeling safe, feeling heard, feeling like you can actually be yourself, speak your words without filtering, without holding back. And if you don't feel that, it's okay to move on. The first time I realized I wasn't clicking with a therapist, I felt guilty. I told myself, well, they are the professional. They know what they're doing. I should just probably push through. But here's what I've learned: therapy is not something you endure, it's something that should work for and with you. And if it doesn't, you have every right to find someone else. Switching therapists doesn't mean you're giving up. It doesn't mean that therapy isn't for you. It just means you haven't found the right fit yet. And finding that right fit makes all the difference. When you finally sit across from someone who understands you, who sees past the surface, who challenges you in the right ways, and who makes you feel safe, you'll know. So let's be real about something that doesn't get talked about enough. Therapy isn't a magical, linear process where every session leaves you feeling enlightened and at peace. I wish that were the case. But the truth, therapy is a ride, a roller coaster. Some days you leave a session feeling like you've unlocked a whole new level of understanding, like you've peeled back a layer, connected a few dots, and you can see the healing happening in real time. Those sessions, those days feel amazing. You're on the right path, making progress, moving forward. But then there are the other days, the ones where you leave feeling heavier than when you walked in, sometimes unexpectedly, where something you or your therapist said lingers in your mind for hours, days, poking at old wounds you thought were long buried. Where instead of feeling like you're moving forward, you feel like you've just opened a door to more questions, more doubt, and those emotions that you might not have been ready to deal with. And I'm going to say it, that part, it sucks. It's uncomfortable, it's exhausting. Sometimes it makes you wonder, oh my gosh, why did I even start this? But here's the thing: it is meant to be messy. Healing is not neat, nor is it predictable. It's a process of unlearning, reprocessing, rebuilding, and then some. Sometimes things get harder, oftentimes, before they get better. Because when you finally start addressing things, things that you might have spent years avoiding, it's bound to be overwhelming. But that doesn't mean it's not working. In fact, those tough moments, those are usually the most transformative because they mean you're finally facing things head on. They mean you're allowing yourself to feel, and as painful as that can be, It's part of the work. I remember walking out of a session once, feeling completely shattered. I had just uncovered something I hadn't even realized was buried inside of me. It was like my therapist had turned on a light in a dark room, and suddenly I could see all the clutter I had been living with. Instead of feeling relieved, I felt wrecked, for lack of a better word. I went home, I sat on my couch, and I think I just stared at the wall for hours. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't even want to think. I felt hollow. I'm going to say it again. Therapy isn't a quick fix. It's not about walking in, dumping your problems on a professional, and walking out feeling lighter. Sometimes it drags things up that you weren't ready to face, and it lingers for days, even weeks. The emotional hangover is real. And this is why therapists give you tools, not just to process what comes up in session, but to help you cope with it afterwards. Journaling, grounding exercises, breathing techniques, all of it sounds a little cliche, but when you're in that post session fog, they can be the thing that keeps you from sinking. My therapist once told me healing isn't about forgetting or erasing the past, it's learning about how to carry it differently. And that sticks with me. So if you're in therapy and you're feeling that emotional whiplash, one day high, the next day crashing down, and so on, just know it's normal. Keep going, keep pushing through, keep trusting the process. Now, I don't want this just to be me talking at you. I would love to hear from you, dear listeners. If you've been through therapy, what was your experience like? Did you have that same fear or doubt before starting like I did? Has anything surprised you about your experience? Did you have an awkward first session or sessions? Maybe therapy has changed your life in a way you never expected. Have you ever hesitated about going or skeptical about what therapy could do for you? What may have held you back? And lastly, if you've ever felt like therapy wasn't working for you, what did you do? Did you try another therapist? Whatever it is, I want to know. Send me a message on social media, leave me a comment there, or shoot me an email, vivvance@gmail.com. However, you'd like to share. I'd love to do a follow up episode where I can take your stories, with no names, of course, if you prefer, and talk about some real, unfiltered experiences of therapy. Because the truth is, everybody's journey looks different. And the more we talk about it, the more we can break down that stigma. So hit me up, tell me your thoughts, and let's keep this conversation going. If there's one thing I've learned about therapy, it's that talking about it makes it a little less scary. And maybe, just maybe, it can help someone take that first step. All right, so let's bring this thing home, y'all. Therapy, not some quick fix, overnight transformation. It's a process, a journey, one that's oftentimes messy, sometimes weird, and sometimes plain uncomfortable. Some days you'll leave a session feeling better, lighter, like you've just unlocked some secret hidden truth about yourself. Other days, you'll sit in your car, staring at the dashboard. You'll sit at home, staring at the wall, thinking, what the hell did I just uncover? And then there are the in between days, the ones where you show up, talk about your week, and wonder if anything is even happening to make you be sitting there in therapy. But trust me, even on the days that feel small, even when you don't see the progress in that real time, it is happening. You're doing the work, you're showing up for yourself, and that's huge. You don't have to hit rock bottom to deserve support. You can give yourself the tools before that happens. You don't have to have an earth shattering reason to go. You just have to be you, willing to show up and see what happens. Because you never know, it could just be the thing that changes everything. Thanks for hanging out with me today, y'all. I'll leave you with this: life's messy, therapy is messy, I'm messy, we are messy, but that's okay. Sometimes messy is exactly where the magic happens. Until next time, Viv. Thank you for listening and spending time with me today. I appreciate you all so much. If you haven't already, please subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and follow me on social media. Your support means the world. Plus, it really helps a podcast grow and reach more people like us. And don't forget, I'd love to hear from you. Send me your questions, share your story, or just drop by to say hello at vivvance@gmail.com. Until next time, remember, healing isn't linear, life can be unpredictable, but you are never alone in this journey. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.